everyone, and welcome back to Lady Jane Books. Today I'm doing the Winter Essentials book tag. I was tagged to do this by the amazing Tiffany with an IE at Loveless Degrees. I love her videos. She's so much fun to watch. She's so entertaining. I'm going to link her in the description, so you should go check out some of her videos. So let's get started. Number 1, Crackling Fire. Who was your favorite cold character that warmed up towards the end of the book? For this, I'm going to go with the controversial character of Snape. I know there's a lot of discussion on whether or not he was actually good or actually bad. I'm not here for that, basically. But I remember reading the book for the first time and hating Snape, absolutely just despising him. He made Harry's life just so awful. It was really bad. But then for some reason that last book came out and I was sobbing like a child. I was relatively new at being a very serious reader when that book came out, so I had never really experienced a character who started off badly and then tried to redeem himself at the end. That was my first experience to that character arc. So for me, that was really impactful, and I have to go with Severus Snape from the Harry Potter series. Number 2, Snowflakes. What is a book with a unique cast of characters? For this, I'm going with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. I read the first installment. I never continued with the series, but I remember reading this thinking it was going to be really dark and creepy and strange. And it was strange because obviously this is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. But I remember going through the cast and seeing all their unique gifts and all the weird things they can do and all the cool powers that they have, and just kind of how everybody was so unique and different. So I'm definitely going to have to go with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. Number 3, Gingerbread Family. What fictional family would you love to be a part of? Hands down, I am going with the Sarah J. Maas book for this one. It's not a secret that I love the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. And particularly, one of my favorite groups of fictional characters is the Night Court. Oh my gosh, they are just so much fun. They're so devil may care, so cool, and just really honorable at the same time. Oh my gosh, I love their crew that Feyre and Rhysand have as their little family. I want to be a part of it. I want to know what's going on in the Night Court. I want to train to fight. I just want to be a part of that world so badly. So I'm definitely going with the Night Court crew from Sarah J. Maas's Court of Thorns and Roses series. Number 4, Blizzard. Name a book with a plot that was all over the place. Sadly, I'm going to have to go with The Haunting of Bryn Wilder for this one. I did a full rant review on this book very recently. I'll link it in the description box below and also in the cards if you're interested. But basically the gist is that this story had way too many elements, and I was confused on what was actually happening and why a lot of times in this book. So if you want to know more, definitely go check out my rant and review on The Haunting of Bryn Wilder. Number 5, gift giving. What was the last book that was gifted to you? This one right here. My very best friend in the entire world. I'm talking, this girl is the most amazing person to have ever walked the planet. She was traveling recently and she saw this book in a cute little independent bookshop, so she picked it up for me, which was the most sweet and kind thing. It is Till the Human Voices Wake Us, The Lost Ghost Stories of Edward Lordy. I had never heard of this author, but my friend knows I love spooky, scary books. So the fact that she saw this and she thought of me was the most touching thing ever. And to make this gift even better, it's actually signed by the author. Let me show you. Signed by the author right there. So this is an absolute treasure. I'm going to cherish this book for the rest of my life. It has a spot of honor in one of my bookshelves. So if you happen to be watching this, thank you so much again. This was the most amazing gift, and I'm so thankful for your friendship, always. Number 6, Snowball. What is the biggest book you have ever read? I am currently still making my way through Stephen King's It, which is a big bad boy of a book, so I could definitely say that I'm starting to read that and I'm trying to work my way through it. So I could technically say that I've read it, but I'm not gonna do that because we're honest here on Lady Jane Books. I'm not sure which one is a higher page count, so I think it's a toss-up between one of the Harry Potter books and A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I love both of those books. They're big chunky books. But being a slower reader, I do find bigger books a little bit challenging, so I tend to shy away from them and read shorter books like 300 and less pages. Number 7, wrapping paper. What is your most beat up book? I am personally offended by this question a little bit because I take an immense amount of pride in everything that I own, and especially my books. So if there's so much of a scratch on my book, I'm gonna get so mad and so angry. So I have to say that my books are actually in pretty good condition. For this one, I'm going to have to go with this copy of Rebecca. It looks fine at first glance, but as you can see, it was ripped in shipping and I was so mad. I was mad enough that I bought a second copy. I don't regret this. I bought this because I wanted to have a copy of the original beautiful like satin cover before the movie tie-in kind of dominated the publishing industry and they changed it to the movie covers. So I bought this thinking that it was going to be fine and going to be like my official copy of Rebecca. It got ripped. I was mad. So like a true bookworm, I bought another copy of the exact same book and now I have 2 of them. Booktube problems. Number 8. Christmas lights. What is a book that you own that has many colors on the cover? For this, I'm going with Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. I read this in 2020. I loved it, but honestly, the first thing that drew me was definitely the cover with this gorgeous blue color, and it was gorgeous. I love it. I love how bright it is, how it stands out on my bookshelves. So for this question, I'm definitely going with Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. Number 9, ice skating. What book had a plot that was all over the place? For this one, I unfortunately also have to go with The Haunting of Bryn by Wendy Webb. I am going to refer you back to my rant video. Basically, she would start on one plot and then not finish it and then enter something else that was very unrelated and it didn't really tie up at the end. So it left me just confused and quite frankly bored. If you want to hear more of my rants, please check out my video on The Haunting of Bryn by Wendy Webb. Number 10, Christmas tree. Who is your favorite character of all time? And yes, you only pick one. This was so difficult. It's like picking a favorite child, like you just don't do it. This was incredibly difficult. Like this was a little bit tough. This was a brutal question. But I think at the moment my favorite character has to be Evelyn Hugo from The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I loved this book, and I think part of the reason why I loved it so much is that Taylor Jenkins Reid created Evelyn Hugo to be such an inspiring woman. She went after this big, gorgeous career within the book, and she followed her heart in many circumstances, even though she faced a lot of adversity. And she kind of does whatever she needs to do to reach her goals and her ambition. And basically, I want to be Evelyn Hugo. Like, I want to be that ambitious. I want to be that strong woman. I want to be that person who will just take life by the horns and run with it as far as she can. That's me. That spoke to me. And that's why Evelyn Hugo is one of my favorite characters of all time. Number 11, The Star. What book do you always look forward to rereading year after year? I have not been rereading this book, admittedly, but it is a book that I have read multiple times. And when I first read it, I kept reading it year after year, even though I'm not a big rereader. That is The Mulberry Tree by Jude Deveraux. This was one of my first like adult books that I read. My mom lent it to me when I was saying, hey, I really want like a really good story, maybe a really good romance. Do you have any recommendations? And she's like, girl, try Jude Devereaux. She writes some really great stories. And she lent me The Mulberry Tree by Jude Devereaux. And I loved this book. I adored it. I devoured it. I loved it. I loved the messages behind it. The Mulberry Tree is about a woman who lost her husband due to tragedy, and she basically is not in a good place in her life, both physically and mentally and emotionally. And after this tragedy strikes, she kind of takes this as a chance to really start over, and she moves to this remote countryside where she focuses on growing a business by making jams and jellies and things like that. And through that, she really starts to heal from the tragedy and from her trauma. And it was one of the most beautiful stories that I have ever read. I love that message about healing and enjoying life even after tragedy. And it just made me feel really, really great about life in the future. So for this question, I'm going with The Mulberry Tree by Jude Devereaux. And number 12, Snowball Fight, tag 5 people. I'm tagging Books Yada Yada, I'm Read by the Book, Rosie Cockshut, Nerdy Nat Reads, and by the Book. I'm going to link all of these people in the description below. They all have just incredible booktube channels, so you gotta go check them out. And that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Winter essential right here. Who was your favorite cold character that warmed up? No, Jane. Snowflakes. Excuse me. Excuse me. I'm not sure which one has a higher page count, but I think it's a toss-up between the last Harry Potter books. Why can't I say that? Why can't you make a sentence, Jane? Just make a sentence. Put the words together properly and make a sentence. It's not that hard. Okay. But being a slow reader, I find bigger books to be a little bit intimidating sometimes. So I gravitate more to like shorter books, less details. So for this question, I'm definitely gonna say, oh God, Jane. This tree. Who is your favorite character of all time? And yes, you only pick one. This was so difficult. It's like picking a favorite child, like you just don't do it, basically. But I hope not, otherwise that actually explains a lot about my childhood. Okay. This one was so difficult because I love a bunch of characters, but I think my all-time favorite at the moment is definitely Evelyn Hugo. This one was so difficult because I love such an array of characters, but I think my present favorite is definitely Evelyn Hugo by the 7. I'm going to tag Books Amarita? No, I combined two of my favorite booktubers ever, Books Yada Yada and Amarita by the Books together. Books Amarita. I actually love that title, to be honest. That's a cool title. My window just literally closed on its own. Holy crap. Oh, that was so scary. I know it's the wind, but holy crap, that was scary. Ugh. I love that I'm sitting here in my earmuffs and sweater like my apartment is not 78 degrees right now. I love that for me.